So guys, in another episode of Achieving Simplicity in Design, I'll be walking you through on how I was able to achieve this birthday flyer design on Photoshop. Please, if you're coming across the channel for the very first time and you're interested in graphic design, do well to join us by smashing the subscribe button and turning on the post notification bell to get notification whenever I upload new content. And to our returning subscribers, thank you guys for always watching as usual. So let's dive into it. The first thing you have to do is to create a canvas on which you'll be designing on, and over here we'll be setting a unit of measurement in pixels to be precise. You can go ahead to give your project any name of your choice. We'll be setting the units pixels. 1080 by 1350 is the canvas size. Resolution is set on 300. This is solely dependent on the specification of your PC. If your PC is of low spec, do well to reduce the resolution to either 72 or 100. Take note of that. Okay, color mode remains on RGB because this content will be used across social media as usual. Okay, so you move ahead to click on the create button. Here we have the canvas on which you'll be designing on. The first thing I'd like to do here is to bring in the resource files I'll be using to create this design. So guys, here are the resources I'll be using to create this design. You can also get them on the video description. Do well to check the video description. You find the link to all of this in the video description. The first phase of creating such kind of design like this has to do with, we start with creating of the background. We are trying to come up with the design composition. Okay, so first thing first, I'll select the background. To have to create a gradient background, I'll head over to the adjustment and click on gradient fill to be precise. Click on this gradient to basically just expand the gradient, and over here I've created a preset of gradient I'll be using. Here is the gradient to be precise. Over here on exactly 60 on the slider, here is the hex code to the color I'm using on this end, while on this far end as well, here is the hex code to the color I'm using. I'm using a lighter value of the same color. There's the hex code. You can go on to click on OK, and this is located on 100 to be precise as well. So click on OK. Then the next thing I have to do is to change the style to radial and change this to reverse. Okay. So over here as well, I would like to also expand the gradient radius to around this. This is actually good enough. Setting this to around this and clicking on OK. That is in terms of that. The next thing is to basically blend in these images I'll be using to create the background. These are the three images I'll be using to create the background. So I'll start with this to be precise. Hit Ctrl T holding Alt, scale out from the middle holding Alt, and click on OK. So for this, I would like to change the blending mode for this to around this basically works, soft light works. So I'll select this as well, hit Ctrl T on it, holding Alt as well to scale out like this, check, and also change the blending mode to around let me see. Okay, I think this works as well. And what else? I'll also enable this as well. Make sure it's fitted. Okay, it is well fitted already. And I'll change the blending mode to soft light as well in this particular situation. So after I'm done with all of this, all I have to do is to select all three layers and reduce their respective opacity level to around 50 something. I think this is perfectly okay. So the next thing I would like to do here is to select this. I need to take out some of the details on this end. So I'll add a layer mask, pick the brush tool to be precise, and I'll scale down the size of my brush. Make sure the foreground is set on black and your white mask layer is basically selected. By doing so, it basically helps you to hide whatever you don't want to have on this particular layer. So I need to take out some of these. Set your flows and opacity on 100. And your brush can be set on soft round, or you can choose to scale down the flows a little bit. It all depends. That is how you control the strength of your brush. So I can come over here and subtract this way. Okay, that is in terms of that. So moving on as well, we can still choose to add more depth of color by applying the hues and saturation. So So over here on the hues and saturation, you just need to play with what? The hues. So I'll scale up the hues a little bit, okay, and increase the saturation of the colors. Okay, you can see it. So I can select this, hold shift, select this, hit Ctrl G, and I can choose to rename this and call this BG. By doing so, it basically enables you to keep your layer panel as neat as possible without much hustle. So the next thing is to enable the subject image. These images, I got them from Pinterest. For those of you that are always asking, I got them from Pinterest, and I use a third-party app like I love img.com to basically upscale the quality of the image, okay, because most of those websites has low quality images. So I'll select this, right click, convert to a smart object, enable this as well, select it, right click, and convert to a smart object. Okay, by doing so, it basically enable you to maintain the resolution of the image whenever you scale it up. Okay, so I'll bring this to the front and I'll scale it out, okay, to around something like this. Bring it down to around here like this. Okay, I can choose to place it like this. Okay, I think this works for me. So moving on, I would like to select this. I would like to scale this down properly, okay, and make sure it is positioned like this as well. Okay, for this as well, I have to enable it as well. Okay, escape, right click, and convert it to a smart object. I've not done that, so I hit Ctrl T. I can scale it, right click on it, and flip it horizontally so that it will be looking like this. Okay, so I'm done. I'll click on OK, bring this to the front of this. Can still choose to increase the size a little bit so that they will have equal width. Okay, by doing so, let me see if I do this way. Okay, and pick the move to adjust this like this and see what actually comes out of this. Okay, adjust this like this. Okay, I think this is making more sense. I'll select this, hold shift, select this. I can group them, Ctrl G to group all three layers. After selecting them, Ctrl A on the keyboard to highlight the whole canvas. Pick your move to make sure the group is still selected. Click on align horizontally, Ctrl D to deselect. So I can go ahead to rename the group by calling this let me see, subject. Okay, I'm trying to keep my layer panel as neat as possible. So moving on, I would like to add more details to this subject image. So I'll select this subject image and head over to filter and apply camera raw filter. So over here on the camera raw, I would like to enable the before and the after. Ctrl plus to zoom in so that you have a good preview of the before and the after. Starting with the basics. Okay, I would like to increase the contrast, okay, or adjust the contrast a little bit depending on the image. Please take note that while working with most of these tools, it is more of an eyeballing situation. I can't come out here and be telling you use this way. No, you allow your eyes to basically guide you to know when you are over applying some certain adjustments, and you make adjustments to them at any point in time. Okay, so you have to just flow with the rhythm of what you are actually seeing. I can't give you a fixed parameters on how to go about using most of these settings. Okay, so you let your eyes guide you while working with all of these sliders. So increase the textures. I need more details on my textures. Okay, I think this is okay like this. Increase the clarity a little bit. Okay, so if I'm done with that, I can go down to details. I want to increase the sharpening more to around let me see, I think this is okay. Increase noise reduction a little bit, and you can see this is before and this is after. And after I'm done, I'll click on the OK button. Now you can see that if I intend to make subsequent modification to the camera raw, all I have to do is to just double click on this and I'll be taken back into the camera raw for what modification or any adjustment of my choice. So I'll cancel this and I'm good to go. So I'll apply the effect on this because they were shot with the same camera settings. So all I have to do is to hold Alt, left click and drag this effect here. Okay, to apply it on the other one, hold Alt, left click and drag this to this as well. So that is in terms of this. You can see that all the whole images, all the three images are having a uniform look. That is in terms of that. So moving on as well, I'd like to add a feel of a glow that is actually coming out as a result of the light from the background. Okay, adding details. So all I have to do is to right click and click on blending option and wait for the layer style. So over here on the layer style, I would like to start with I would like to start with inner glow, to be precise. So over here on inner glow, you intend to use colors from the background. Okay, I can choose to use a bright color of this. Okay, this is as a result of the color that is coming out from the background, so that will have a reflection of that on the body part of the subject. So if I turn off this, you'll see that some of those colors or those lights are around the body of the subject. You can control the opacity in terms of the intensity of the light on the subject. You can basically do that. Okay, likewise you can control the size among others. So you can just play with this slider under the inner glow and see how it actually turns out for you. So I can advise you to leave every settings the way they are on my screen like this, and we are good to go. Okay, that is in terms of that. Then moving on as well, we can choose to add more details as well in terms of the lighting at the background. Okay, I can select this background group here and I would like to apply a color of this nature. Okay, so I've clicked on this, I've clicked on OK, but I would like to sample the color from the background. So I'll select the max, hit Ctrl I to actually hide the color. So I'll come over here, double click over here, and I can just come over here to sample the color that is actually brightest on the background. Sample it and click on OK. Okay, so after I'm done with that, select this and I can choose to use my brush and set the foreground on white. The white enables me to reveal what is hidden on the black mask layer. Please take note of that. So I will scale down the size of my brush using the square bracket key beside the P button on the keyboard and control the flows and opacity, and I can choose to brush around the subject like this to apply those details of the light. You can see the reflection of the light. Okay, so that is basically how we go about achieving all of this. Okay, you can see this is how I basically achieve some of these details while working with these two. Okay, so that is in terms of that. So if it's okay for you, you are good to go. If you intend to reduce the opacity of the layer, you can also adjust that to control the level of depth. Okay, that is how I go about adding details to my subject. So moving on as well, I can choose to add some adjustments to this particular layer as it stands right now, such as adding more details with hues and saturation. So over here on the hues and saturation, I would like to work on the colors. Okay, some specific colors, I would like to take them out, but I have to click on the clip mark so that the effect will be solely on the subject. Okay, so I would like to start with some specific color, to be precise, the cyan. I intend to take out some of these colors on the hair of the subject. I'm seeing some blue, some cyans, so I'll start with taking out of the cyan. So I'll click on cyan, and all I have to do is to take down the saturation level of this to this. Okay, you can see the effects now. I can come over here and select blue and take down the saturation of the blues. You can see what is actually happening here. So that is how I was able to achieve all of this as well. So what else? The magentas, I can also choose to take down the saturation level of the magenta as well. Okay, so this is more of an eyeballing situation. Please take note of that. And if we are good, we have all the images having one uniform look. That is in terms of this, simple and clean. Okay, So moving on as well, we can choose to add the color balance by improving the colors and giving it a uniformity. So I'll click on color balance through the adjustment, click on the clip marks so that the effect will be solely on what? The subject as well. So over here, I'll start with the mid-tones. They have about 3 tones to be precise. I'll start with the mid-tones. On the mid-tones, I'd like to add some value of reds to this, okay, and a little value of this, okay. So I'll head over to, let me say, the shadows, and I'd like to add more red tones, okay, and leave other settings the way they are. Head over to highlight and increase this as well. So we are trying to enrich the color on the subject, likewise in the face of the subject. So we are good to go. So after we are done with that, I can still choose to improve the color as well by applying another adjustment called selective color, and I'll narrow it down to only magenta. I'm trying to work on the color on the subject, and over here under magenta colors, okay, I'll just increase only the colors on what? The magenta, okay. So that is in terms of that. So if I go out this way, I'm trying to do what? I'm adding magenta. If I'm going this way, I'm applying the opposite of what? Magenta to what? The image. Please take note of that. This end we have the CMYK, this other end we have what? The RGB, red, green, and what? Blue. So going this way, I'm adding green. Going this way, I'm adding what? More of what? Magenta to this. So, and if I'm done, sorry, I skipped something. I have to do what? Clip marks this so that it will be solely on what? The subject as usual, okay. So after I'm done with that, I'm good to go in terms of this. So next thing I have to do here is to start placing in the text, and for me to do that, I have to speed up the whole process. But before doing that, let me apply an empty layer here, and I'll take the gradient tool to be precise, okay. I like to select gradient. Under here, I'll select basics, okay. I'll be using this particular hex code for of this color to apply color over here. So I can come over here, left click, and drag out like this, okay. Ctrl T, and you can still choose to extend it this way, okay. So that is in terms of that, okay. So I think we are good to go. So after that, we can then go ahead to placing in of our text. So I'll be speeding up on that. So here are the information about the celebrants, and I'll be walking you through how I was able to achieve some of this, okay. So starting with this particular text over here, all I had to do was to pick the text to come over here to around somewhere here like this, sorry, come to an empty space like this, left click and drag out like this, and what they call it, the Lorem Ipsum text comes in. I just scale down the size of the text. But if you have an actual text you need, you can just type it in after you create the Lorem Ipsum text, and you can just paste in your own text into that, okay. That is in terms of that. So after I was done with that, I had to use the character panel as well. Please, if you don't have your character panel, you can enable it on Windows and you're good to go. So I use the character panel to just basically reduce the line spacing of what? Most of the text, okay, so that we'll have them in what? In multiple lines like this, okay. So that was how I was able to achieve it in this way. You can change the color. If you still need to adjust the spacing, you can still adjust it, okay. If you need to increase the line spacing between the text, you can still do that, okay. That is in terms of this particular text. So moving on as well, I placed in this text over here. All I had to do was to type in the text using the font called Montserrat, okay. And all I had to do was to reduce the opacity. The text came with what? I typed it with a white text and reduce the opacity to what? 6 to be precise, okay. So I just made one duplicate by placing one around here, so I can increase this to 100, okay. You have it this way. So I just reduce the opacity to 6. Likewise, the one you have at the top here was also increased to what? 100 as well. So I just reduce the opacity to 6 as well. So that is in terms of that. I made a duplicate of that by also placing another text around here. All I had to do was to, instead of giving it a fill of 100, I reduced the fill of this particular layer of this text to 0, okay. That is in terms of that. And what? Reducing the opacity to what, to around 50. Take note of that. And I double clicked on it. Okay, after I did that, head over to stroke, set the stroke size as follows. Okay, the opacity, the size, everything as follows, white color, and click on OK. And that was how we had this this design we have over here. And what else again? I created a rectangle. Okay, for the rectangle, what did I do? Here is the layer of the rectangle. Okay, and over here on the layer of the rectangle, this is the hex code to the color I used for the rectangle. All I had to do was paste the rectangle. This was the original look of the rectangle, but I changed the blending mode to this. Okay, take note of that. From this to what, to this. That was how I was able to achieve that as well. Okay, that is in terms of that. I also created a circle around here. Okay, I created a circle, and for this circle it came with what, this particular hex code as well. Change the blending mode to what, to soft light. Okay, that was how I was able to achieve that as well. What else? I made a duplicate of the circle. So all I had to do was to say, okay, select the actual circle, hit Ctrl J, Ctrl T, then you scale it out a little bit and you are good to go. So after that, all I had to do was to do what, turn off what, turn off the, what they call it, the fill. Okay, the layer is selected of the circle. I come over here, select the shape and come to fill here, click on what, no color to be precise, and give it a stroke color of what, black. Okay, so all I had to do was to select the color, and the color I used here was white, not black. Okay, so I just scale up the size. You can see the blending mode currently is on what, is on soft light, so I just change it to this. So for the stroke, I had to change the blending mode of the stroke layer. Let me pick the move tool. I have to take it out. Let me see. So I have to change the blending mode from normal to, let me see, what did I even use? Let me see whether I use overlay. So I just change it to overlay, and when being brought in here, it will be looking like this around the circle. Let me turn off this other stroke, so you have it looking like this. You can still increase the size and you have this looking like this. Okay, so that was how I was able to achieve this. Okay, so guys, I think this is much informative. If you have any thoughts and questions, let me know your thoughts and questions you have for me in respect to all of this. And on the final note, I applied a color lookup. Okay, so all I had to do was to come over here on the adjustment, apply a color lookup, and select from the list of color lookups as usual, and play around the color lookups and see which basically helps the look of my design project. Okay, and this actually came to my mind and I used this for this. So let me know your thoughts in all of what I've shared with you in the comment section. We've come to the end of this. Drop your thoughts and questions in the comment section. Please and please, if you gained value from this, do well to smash the like button. Support your guy by smashing the like button. The resources will be in the video description. And if you're watching me for the very first time, do well to smash the subscribe button, turn on the post notification bell to get notification whenever I upload new content. And to our returning subscribers, thank you guys for the love and support. I really appreciate you all. As usual, I'll see you in the next.